Here we go again. We'll wait for a few people to tune in and then we'll get stuck into it. Comment your thoughts. If you've seen the team, let me know how you're going. We'll talk about the lineup. We'll go through Brisbane, their strengths, our strengths, all of that stuff. It's good to actually see that the game is going ahead. All week we just didn't know what was happening in terms of where we were playing. A lot of people were hoping that that we get to play it in Melbourne, and unfortunately we have to go to Queensland. It's not at the Gabba, and that's where Brisbane have been so good all season, so that's a benefit for us, but it is at Metricon still, so we do have to travel. I think it's a fly-in, fly-out scenario, so we'll fly in Saturday and then we'll fly out late Saturday night, I believe. But it still takes Brisbane out of that comfort zone of the Gabba, where they've been so good. They've won 10 of their last 11. They're probably the most informed team in the competition, in my books anyway. I think they're probably the best team in the comp at the moment. Since they were 1-3, they've only lost one, and that was to Melbourne when Melbourne were playing their best footy. But yeah, they've just gotten the job done every week. They've got winners across the board. And it's going to be the ultimate test for us to see really if we deserve to play finals. We need to be competitive in this game. Obviously, getting the win would be huge, but being competitive is huge for us. We need to match them on the inside, on the outside. It's going to be critical. But yeah, the details are there. If you don't know, round 17, Brisbane v St Kilda. The game starts at 7:25 p.m. and it's at Metricon Stadium. So that's it for that. In terms of the ins and outs, let me just get those up and then we'll get stuck into it. Ins and outs, it's kind of a bit of a surprise. I mean, Jack Higgins is out. He's injured. He's out with some back soreness, I believe, so that's a bit unfortunate. He's been probably our best small all season, so to see him come out in such an important game, it's terrible timing, and that's our season to a T, really, isn't it? We've got players that are coming in that are important for us, namely Zach Jones, a huge in for us, and he'll give us, a bit of that outside speed that we haven't had in the middle in the last 6 or 7 weeks. We've got a lot of the inside sort of grunt. We've got Dunstan doing a great job, Brad Crouch doing a great job, and obviously our captain and star player Jack Steele just doing it every week, and that's the norm for Jack, so he'll just do it again. We know that. And then Seb Ross and these sort of guys pinch hitting when they need to. But having Zach Jones back in gives us that added dynamic. We haven't had that breakneck speed out of the middle, and we've won the last 2 weeks, but really in games gone by, we've probably missed someone like Zach Jones. You look at the Adelaide game in the second half, you look at the Sydney game when we missed a couple of goals late and didn't get the chocolates there, and then even a few of our worst losses in the season, we've missed Zach Jones, and it's great to have him back. Dan Hanbury comes back through the VFL, and apparently he'll be at the VFL for a couple of weeks, and then they'll assess where he's at. So to have him kind of on the agenda for the next couple of weeks is big as well. But Zach Jones is a massive one for us. He changes the game for us. He makes us a much better team. It's similar to Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder. You don't really realise how important they are until they're gone, and Zach Jones is like that. The second he's out of the team, we're all like, great, what are we going to do in the middle? We don't have that speed, and now we've got it back, so that's great. So Higgins out, back soreness, and then Josh Battle. It says he's omitted, but he's still an emergency, so he could well be the medical sub again, but that remains to be seen. We'll see on game day who the medical sub is. It could well be a Jack Loney or a Dean Kent, considering we've got Jack Higgins out, who's a small, and maybe we want a small as a medical sub as well in case 2's not working, and 3 could work as well. So we'll see how it goes on game day. I'll get some of these comments up, and we'll talk through it. I'm actually testing out a new platform, guys, so a bit of a heads up. That's probably why you saw the text box come up. So now when I read your comments, I'll be able to share them on the screen for everyone else to see, which will make it a lot easier. This is hopefully a permanent thing, but I just thought I'd give it a go tonight and see how we go. So let's get through some of these comments and test it out. What have we got? This one's from Marcus. Let's get Marcus up. There we go. Nice picture, Marcus. Look at that. He's got a nice smile there. Clearly after a Saints win, no doubt. He says, G'day, Jakey. How are we feeling? Neil sounds certain to start. Good call, Marcus. We've got the lineups here. Lockie Neal is in. The other Brisbane in is James Madden. The outs are Jared Berry, Jackson Pryor, who's was a medical sub, I believe, and Reese Matheson, who's been omitted. So that's a big one for him. But I'm feeling, I don't know, I'm feeling all right. I'm not feeling, I reckon I felt worse leading up to the Richmond game after the bye, to be honest. This one is kind of like a free hit. I really want us to just go hammer and tongs, just go full throttle. I wouldn't say season's dead if we lose, but if we win, it's firmly alive going into the Port game next Saturday night at Marvel. That would be big as well. But I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm watching it with a Brisbane mate on Saturday night. He's going to come over and we're going to enjoy it together. He's not arrogant. He's used to the tough times of being a Brisbane fan, of recent years of them being at the bottom. So he completely understands where we're coming from and how we want our team to go. So it should be a good watch with him. But yeah, I mean, we'll see on game day. We'll see when the first bounce goes how I'm feeling. But right now, pretty calm actually. Could be worse, but right now, pretty calm. Next one's from, let's see. What do we got? Wonderful to see Zach Jones back. That's from Peter. Yep, like I said before, we've missed someone like Zach Jones. When you don't have Gresham there, it's hard enough to get that explosiveness out of the middle, but you take that and Zach Jones out of the middle, and that hurts you. And I think we forget, just on normal form, Zach Jones is an important player because of the strengths he has within his own game, the speed, the aggression, the tackling pressure. But what we forget is when he has played earlier this year, he's been in career best form. He's been phenomenal. You know, in the Hawthorn game, he was fantastic. In the West Coast second half, he turned the game around. And, you know, in a couple of other games this year, he's been very good. You know, you can't underestimate how important it is to have Zach Jones back. So it is, Peter. It is wonderful to have Zach Jones back in the team. It's just a downside that we gain a player and then we lose a player in Jack Higgins. That really kind of upsets me. I want all of the players on at the same time, but right now we just don't have that luxury. We get one player, we lose one player. It's just how it is to be a Saints fan in 2021. This one's from Luke. I'll be honest, I don't have a good feeling that Zach Jones is in. He just came off a quad injury that took him out for 2 months. I'd rather rest him another week so it can properly heal. Now, I know, yeah, that's a fair call, and some people will say, why didn't he go through the VFL with Dan Hanbury? He's done match sim. He's been in full training, I believe, for at least a month. They did some serious match sim today and I think earlier in the week and even last week, and he's been part of that. So I think that that's probably been the ultimate test and the decider on whether he's good enough or not. I assume that if he hadn't have gotten through the main training session, he would have gone to Sandy to play minimal minutes. But to be honest, if he plays at Sandy, he's equally as likely to be re-injured playing at VFL level and AFL level. I don't think it makes any difference. And considering we've only got about 7 or 8 games to go, and this is a crunch game against one of the best teams in the league, if not the best at the moment, I think you need the best players on the park. And yeah, fingers crossed and touch wood, he doesn't injure himself again, but you need your best team on the park if you want to make finals. And this to me sends a message to the fans and to the rest of the team, the rest of the comp, that we are here to still make finals. We're going to try our best to make finals. If we had have rested Jones and not rushed him in, and maybe we haven't rushed him in, maybe he's right. But if we had have rested him and all these sort of things, we'd be thinking, well, clearly Ratz's focus is really on next year and not this year. But the fact that he's brought him in means that we're serious. We want to win these games because we want to make finals. And I love that. I love that about the club and the approach that Ratton's taken this week. Let's see what we've got. Joe reckons if we play like we did in the last quarter last week, we lose. Otherwise, we will win. Now, to be fair, prior to the last quarter last week, we had played 7 quarters in a row of fantastic football, almost season best football. Last quarter last week was shocking. We all know that. It frustrated the shit out of everyone. But I think we need to go into this game believing that if we bring what we've brought for 7 of the last 8 quarters and not that 8th quarter, that we're in with a chance. And that's, it's going to take our best to beat Brisbane. But if the Brisbane against Melbourne turn up and they get a bit complacent and the pressure's a bit too much for them, and that's one thing that Fagan did admit, that the Melbourne pressure got to Brisbane. If that happens on the weekend and we convert, then we're in with a massive chance. These are the sort of games that we play well in. We're more likely to play crap against the Collingwoods, the Adelaides, the Norths, these sort of teams than the top teams. So far, I feel like we know we can't rest on our laurels against a team like Brisbane. Same with Richmond. We played 4 quarters of our best football 2 weeks ago because we knew that Richmond could come at us, and they're very good. Against Collingwood, I really think we got a bit cocky. We took the foot off the gas because we didn't rate them. We didn't give them enough respect. But against Brisbane, I back us to give them ultimate respect because they demand it. They're one of the best teams. They made a prelim last year. They should have made the grand final and probably won the whole thing. They choked. The year before that, they made, I think, a semi-final, and they've been top 4 the last 2 years, and they're looking like making top 2 this year. So this is the biggest test for us of the year, and I'm really excited for it. I always want us to play the best teams. I think we've probably had the worst draw this year, but you want to beat the best teams and learn off playing the best teams. So, I love that we've got Brisbane, then Port, then West Coast, and coming off Richmond a couple of weeks ago. That's a great run. This is only going to make us a better team in the long term. This one's from Buster. A bit strange that Sinclair is playing where Billings usually plays. Long is playing where Sinks thrives, and Billings is playing where Long has played his best recently. Seems like all 3 should switch places, don't you think? It's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, if you look at kind of the season and positions, we've kind of chopped and changed a lot, and I think that's a lot to do with injuries, and we haven't had the luxury of having Ben Patton in the back line, so Sinks goes there or Ben Long goes there. The small forwards haven't really worked, so Billings has kind of played deeper at times, and that hasn't really worked. But to be fair, wherever Sinclair plays at the moment, I really back him to have a great game. He's just the sort of player that he sticks to his guns. I think his best football is definitely off halfback. I think Ben Long is an interesting one. I don't think he's likely to kick a bag as a small forward, but I think he's as likely to set up everyone else around him with his pressure acts. He's a bit frenetic and he's all over the place, but I think that kind of creates a bit of chaos in our forward line and it makes it unpredictable, which makes it more dangerous in a weird way. And you look at his last 2 weeks, he hasn't had big numbers, but I think when the ball's hit the deck in our forward line, he's been around it. He's, implied pressure on the opposition's been really critical in forcing them to make mistakes, because when Ben Long's around, he's not going half-assed. And if he's, not in the vicinity to tackle, the defender's freaking out because they think that he's going to lay a big bump, because that's what he does. He gets reported, he lays big bumps. He laid a few last week that were fair and effective and brought his players into the game. And if anything else, it sets the tone for the team. If he lays a massive bump on someone like Mitch Robinson, for instance, on the weekend, who is Brisbane's kind of physicality barometer, if he lays a bump on him, I dare say that lifts us. And that sets the tone for us for the rest of the game to bring that ferocity and to hit the man and the ball, as hard as anything. So I don't care where they play, honestly, Buster, but as long as they bring their A game and the pressure and they bring their teammates into the game, I'm all for it. But Billings is a questionable one. So far, we've played him on the wing, we've played him forward, played him at half-back at times, and for some reason it just hasn't clicked. Although his first 6 or 7 weeks were great, his last 4 or 5 have kind of been just petering on the edge, just getting the 15 to 20 and not really doing much more than that. This one's from Brenton. Brenton loves that it's basically an unchanged team, showing the faith. Butler probably only out. I would have liked for Kent, but maybe he isn't ready. Higgins only out due to injury. Yep, I feel like we've gone with the minimal type of change, but, it would have been good to maybe have Battle back in and add that extra height, because Brisbane have got Danaher, they've got Hipwood, and obviously McStay. They've got the three talls. So far, we've not really got the backline that can cope with that, on paper at least. Wilkie probably takes, I don't know, might take a McStay, but I think, Danaher is mobile, so maybe Dukes takes him and Wilkie takes a McStay. But then who goes to Hipwood? Is that Wilkie as well? Battle could have come in and played a defensive role, and he's played back a couple of years ago and was very good, and he's almost like for McStay in terms of height and weight. It could have been a good matchup there, so I'm not sure what the logic is there. And obviously Darragh Joyce was another one, and he's an emergency and not in the lineup yet. So whether there's a late change to the lineup or if there's not, I'm curious to see how we handle the three-pronged tall Brisbane forward line, because then you've got Cameron. Jimmy Webster would take Cameron, you'd think. So there's a few matchups there that worry me, but generally across the board, I think we match up pretty well. And obviously we've got the two rucks, Ryder and Marshall, which I think we can exploit, and our midfield's probably been the best contested midfield in the comp in the last 5 years in terms of clearances, stoppage clearances, ground ball gets, and obviously tackles being the number one barometer as well. What else we got here? Thanks for the comments, guys. Keep them coming. This is good. I don't know, comment your thoughts if you like this setup, if you like seeing the comments and that sort of interaction. I think it makes it a lot easier. But let me know if you like it or not, and I'm happy to accommodate moving forward. This one's from Isaac. Long forward was way better than long back. I think long back gets a lot more of the ball, but also is more prone to mistakes, and the mistakes probably cause more damage on the scoreboard going the other way. But long in the forward line gets less of the ball, but I think he's more effective, and that pressure of making a mistake is off his back, because all he needs to do when he gets the ball in the forward 50 is either handball or kick it to a teammate, which is easy enough, or go for goal. Go for a snap or take the opposition on and create a scoring chance. So I think the worry's out of his hands in the forward line. I think that makes him a better footballer for us. This one's from Neil. Why would we keep Leo in the team but keep Battle out? Think we might be making a late switch to keep Brisbane on their toes? That'd be a good question. I don't know about that. I think I thought, if anything, Connolly was the out for me to accommodate Zach Jones, and it would have been harsh because I think he's been good in his two first career games, but that would have been my change and what we predicted in the podcast. But I think the Jack Higgins, soreness has kind of thrown things around as a result. So I'd be keen to give him another go and see if he's got that leg speed to take the game on. He gives us that point of difference with Zach Jones as well, and Brad Hill. You've got the three speedsters, and you're going to throw in Jack Sinclair into that. You've got the four players that have got good leg speed on Metricon. I wouldn't say Brisbane are a fast team. They move the ball fast, but leg speed-wise, they're not really the fastest. And I think we got them out with our leg speed last year when we almost pinched at the Gabba. So I think we'll back ourselves. I'd be happy for him to play, but obviously, as I just mentioned, it'd be good for Josh Battle to play just to go back and help us there as well. And maybe even Tim Membry can go back and do a chop out there while Battle goes forward. But then do you run the risk of being a bit too tall with Marshall, Paddy, King, Membry, Mason Wood, these sort of guys in the forward line? Who knows? Let's keep going. Thanks for all the comments, guys. This one's from Tommy. I rate this. Won't need to worry about the three-pronged attack from Brisbane. Nothing gets past Highmore. And that's, Highmore just takes all three of them on. That'd be great. No, that's a good comment. Highmore's been very good in the last couple of weeks. It's good to see him. He's getting a bit more confidence. He's throwing his body at the ball. And to think that, we picked him up was it the mid-season draft last year, I think. It's a great sign. He's just taking his chance, and, with Caulfield being out with the hamstring, it's great to have a like for like. It just allows our other defenders to do their jobs and to allow, Highmore to do the intercepting game. And if you take him out of the lineup, it really does stop our rebound, because a lot of the rebound comes from players like Wilkie, who take those intercept marks when you don't expect him to, and Highmore, who runs off his man and intercepts a contest that you think is dead, and he gets the ball and we rebound. So I think he makes the players around him better. So I'm really excited to see how he goes on the weekend. Adam it continues it. Wilkie is largely underrated in the team. He's mighty. Exactly right. The accountant. Hard to believe that I think he's played now 56 or 57 games straight since debut, which is unreal. You just trust him to do the job every week, no matter who he's playing on. Last week I think he played a lot on someone like Myercheck and kept him very quiet until the last quarter. And at times I think he was on Jamie Elliott when Webster wasn't on him, and he did a great job as well. So he'll probably have to play on like a Lincoln McCarthy at times. He might even have to play on a Cameron when Webster's off the ground. And if not, he might even take a tall, and I back him to handle them pretty comfortably as well. And he's getting more of his rebound game going on top of the defensive work, which is good. That sets us up really well. He doesn't muck around. He doesn't go for the dodgy kicks inboard. He doesn't take risks. He just hits the target. He's no fuss. And that's the sort of backman that we love to have. And a sort of backman that, when you win finals, when we get to winning finals consistently, they're the sort of players you want in your team because nothing phases them. And that's the same with Ben Patton. Unfortunately, he's not out there this year because of his broken leg, but he's the same sort of player. You know what you're going to get from him every week, and he gets the job done, and he does it with no fuss. This one's from Hunter. Will Andrews go to King? Absolutely, Andrews will go to King. That is the first matchup on the board. That's the most predictable one in this game. They're going to battle each other for the next 10 years. Harris Andrews is already, I think, 2-time All-Australian, which is unbelievable. He's one of the best, if not the best, backman in the comp. He's very similar to the style with Wilkie in that he uses his body really well. He's not going to let King get on the lead, and if anything, maybe that's the one outlet King can use to gain an ascendancy on someone like Andrews, is getting on the lead, using your leg speed. If it's one-on-one and we bomb it to King, Harris Andrews is just going to punch it out of bounds, similar to what Dukes would do at the other end. He's going to punch it out of bounds or intercept market, and that sets up the rebound for Brisbane. And that's what he did last year on Max, but Max ended up kicking a goal and taking a few marks inside 50 because he got moving. So it's going to be up to us to support Max. If Harris Andrews is giving him a hard time, it's going to be important for someone like Tim Membry and Rowan Marshall to roam forward and distract Harris Andrews and maybe lay a block and get King on the lead and support each other that way. Or have King be the decoy, distract Andrews and get the ball in long to someone like a Marshall and a Member who will hopefully have mismatches and have them kick the goals. That's another outlet. So there's two ways we could go about it. A couple more, and then we'll wrap it up, guys. This one's from Joe. Again from Joe. Just do it, Saints. Impossible is nothing. Go, you mighty Saints. I love that. We need to go into this game not worried about Brisbane. Obviously, we need to respect Brisbane and we need to identify their strengths, but not so much that we're so worried about their strengths and we don't play our game. I think that's happened too often against some of the top teams this year. I think the last 2 weeks, apart from the last quarter against Collingwood, we played our way and respected the way we wanted to play. And I think it's important for us to play that way again on the weekend. We need to play our game. Obviously, the intercept mark and rebound is critical, but we need to take our chances as well. If we go into quarter time at 2-7, I'm going to be pissed and the game's going to be over. But if we go into quarter time with either a lead or close to Brisbane and kicking straight and playing our way, and it's a good competitive game, then we're in with a big shout and our confidence will only grow from there. This one's from Xavier. Dan McKenzie down back is a liability. I don't know if McKenzie will play down back in this game. He seems to be a really good defensive half forward, even a defensive winger. He's got good toe. He's got good endurance. I back him to just play off a wing or half forward. He's good for a goal as well. I think he's almost going at a goal a game, which is fantastic for someone like Dan McKenzie. And to me, he's been the surprise packet of the year. And if we're going to be a big shout in this game, it's going to be players like Long, McKenzie, Dunstan, these sort of guys that play their role. It's not going to be the stars doing the job. It's going to be the bottom 6 or 7 players, and if they can be the difference, because we know what we're going to get from the Steels and from the Membrys and the Wilkies. They're going to just play their role and beat their opponent and give us the best chance. But it's really up to everyone else to step up and follow suit. Look, guys, I might leave it there. I appreciate everyone tuning in on a Thursday night. I know tonight there's a big game on as well. I think it's Port Adelaide versus Melbourne, so I'll wrap it up and you guys can go and watch that. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Comment your thoughts. Let me know if you enjoyed this format. Hopefully we're able to get some guests on as well and invite you guys on face-to-face to talk as opposed to just commenting, which would be really cool. Another thing to note is Tim Membry merch has just dropped. It's on the Instagram store. It's on the Saints TV store, on the website, as well as the Facebook store. So hit that up. It's a really cool design. And so, yeah, if anyone wants to support the channel, buy some merch, wear it proud, and support the boys on the weekend wearing your red, white, and black. But until Saturday night, guys, I'll see you on Saturday night. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, the rest of your Friday, and hopefully I'm back here talking about a monumental win against the Brisbane Lions on Saturday night. But until then, guys, take care and go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.